Hey guys, I just want to record this while it's fresh in my mind, and it's I'm actually going to be processing it myself as I'm saying it, so if it comes across a little bit jumbled, then that's the reason why. But I feel like it's something that I really want to bed down in my mind, so that's the reason why I'm actually doing this. And if it helps other people, that's fantastic too. So I've been watching for months now a series called Flower of Life by Drunvalo Melchizedek. It's on Gaia TV. It's a workshop recorded in 1992, and it's about Drunvalo Melchizedek. He's actually going to teach people to create their own living Merkaba or Merkaba, depending on how you pronounce it. And basically what that is, it's all about sacred geometry, and it's about jumping dimensions, shifting dimensions. And I've been literally doing it every night for months. It's incredible. And that's not what this podcast is about. It's not about that. But anyway, and if you're interested in it, you can contact me privately and I'll tell you about it, what it's giving me. It's sort of getting me through this new shift, this new ascension process, whatever you want to call it, because it's fascinating. It's truly fascinating. It's very galactic. Anyway, so last night he was talking about, how do I put this, sort of the beginning. I'm just going to jump into it. And it may not be precise, it's just what I've managed to retain from last night. And it's very highbrow. So if you just look at the life the way it is right now, and it's very much based on polarity. So good, bad, hot, cold, or duality, the opposites, that whole thing, that whole yin and yang thing. And in a very basic way to describe this, we'll talk about there was Source, the creator, and then from that you had Jesus and Lucifer. So you had the good and the bad in that way. And the dance between Jesus, and these are very broad terms that I'm using here. You can replace the word Jesus and Lucifer with anything that you want. This is the way he's putting it, and if it triggers you, try to transcend that and just put in whatever word you want. But basically, it's the dance between the two opposites that creates life. So if it's just the creator and everything's just being created, there's no life being created if nothing's banging up against each other. Nothing's happening if there's no good versus evil. It's a very highbrow concept, but I'm just going to stick with that at the moment. So keeping that in mind, let's just bed that into our brain, okay? So we understand that there's a thing called the Luciferian rebellion, which apparently sort of broke off thousands and thousands of years ago. And actually, I'm not going to go into all of that. Suffice just to mention it, just to flag it. If you want to look it up or learn more about it, ask me. So essentially, you have this dance between the light and the dark. And that's something that I'm sure if you're listening to this podcast, you already know all about that. It's what we've been learning about all year. We're in 2020, we're in the ascension period, the fabric of life is getting thin. Gosh, what's going on, who knows? But we know one thing's for sure is that, reality is falling apart in every single way. And divide seems to be the common theme. Like, no matter what it is, no matter what, if you believe in Trump, or you believe in Biden, or if you believe in masks, or you believe in no masks, or herd immunity or not herd immunity, whatever it is that your belief system is aligned to, the main overarching result that I see consistently is divide. We're divided. We're completely divided. And sometimes if you're trying to work out what's going on, sometimes you just look at the result and you work back from there. So, there's all these incredibly complex situations and ideas and, things happening in 2020 at the moment, and we can't make sense of it. Nothing makes any sense, because you can literally prove any narrative or any story that you want to align yourself with. I mean, that's why everyone's so upset with each other, because they are certain that they are right, because they've got all this proof to back it up. How can we all be right? We can't be. But we are individually proving ourselves right. It's amazing. So on a side note, for me personally, that made me realize that there is no such thing as right, because there can't be. There literally cannot be any such thing as right. We can't all be right and we can't all be wrong. So I don't know how to explain that with a human consciousness or a human brain, but I know that there is no such thing as right. Obviously, the way that works is way above my pay grade right now. So just coming back to the purpose of this podcast is to forward to you what I learned last night in Drunvalo Melchizedek's Flower of Life. He talked about that. He talked about how we were created on the principles of light versus dark and that dance between the two. And what he mentioned, which I feel like is so poignant to right now where we are today, is that in the Bible it says, resist not evil. Now, regardless of your relationship with the Bible, because again, that can be a trigger for some people, just forget all those triggers. There's a lot of key points and messages in the Bible. There's just no denying it. So just go with me on this. I'm not going to defend the Bible right now. Resist not evil. What does that actually mean? This is really interesting. So in the Bible, God or Jesus is saying, when evil is coming at you, turn your back on it. And there is that other saying in the Bible, turn the other cheek. Don't feed into the evil. Don't feed into the dark. Turn your back on the dark. Turn your back on it. Because what's happening in that interaction, if you're light and dark is coming towards you, you interact with it, what you're creating is more dark. That's just how it goes. Doesn't it? Because nothing good comes from you trying to fight the darkness. So say, for example, there's an evil agenda coming at us in 2020, and I'm trying to fight the people around me who are believing in it and, in my opinion, facilitating the success of it. Me fighting that and fighting them, what am I creating? Am I creating more dark or am I creating more light? I can see that I'm certainly not creating more light there because, it feels uncomfortable. We fight, we create more divide. It's just divide, and that is on the dark side. We need to see that in this battle between light and dark, we really do need to resist evil not. We need to turn that cheek. We have to turn our back on the evil and stay in our own light. Now, I know that we've been talking about that, the likes of Laurie Ladd, who I adore, and, pretty much most of the well-regarded spiritual channels and teachers and gurus right now are saying very similar things, not to feed into the dark. But the reason why I wanted to outline it in this way is because Drunvalo Melchizedek talked about it in 1992. When you listen to the whole workshop, which is 50 odd hours or something like that, it's quite fascinating. It was quite clear through listening to his channel that he knew, or that there is a shift coming, a collective shift, and in many ways, for me, hearing this information, it became like a real, very clear on what to do, because I think a lot of us get caught up in the battle. We're still caught up in the battle. What's the point? What are we doing here? We're just fighting. We're creating more divide constantly. We're not getting anywhere. I know it's hard not to, because we're afraid. We're afraid that they're going to force us to jab ourselves with, God knows what else, and wear masks, and, it's terrifying. But I suppose that's why they say it's not easy. It's not easy to shift a collective consciousness ascend into a new age, and that is exactly what is happening. So in essence, I'm just going to bring that point up again. The fact is that we have to turn our back on the dark. We are the light. Turn our back on the dark. The minute we turn around and we face the dark and we try and change it or fight it or interact with it in any way, we create more dark. Because what we need is basically, it's a critical mass. We just need on this planet to have more light than dark. So let's try and keep that in mind when our ego's banging down on our door saying, it happens to me all the time. I want to fight. I want to make them wrong, all that stuff. Obviously not as bad as I was at the beginning of the year, but it still happens. I'm no ascended master. So there it is, ladies and gentlemen. I just wanted to share that insight with you and also bed that down for myself in my mind, because it was incredible. It's really going to give me some peace. I love you all. See you later.